Hi everyone, it's Lisa again here from the Paris-Bourbon County Library with a craft that I think is going to be super cute when we finish, but it's also very simple. This is one that the kids can help with on this one as well to get ready for the holiday spirit. So I'm going to readjust our camera just a little bit and we will give you a list of supplies and how to completely finish our stacked paper Christmas tree. Okay, we're back and I would like to first give you a list of supplies and then we're going to finish completing the one that I have already started. Okay, so the first thing that you're going to need is a pot. You can leave yours the terracotta color. You can see on this one I have spray painted that. I've also put a little red ribbon right around the lip of this terracotta pot. I used the small 4-inch pot. You will also need a book, an old discarded book, and you know that we've done several activities that require a discarded book, and so I just keep pulling from this one. This one's my go-to. You will need a pair of scissors. You will need a pair of pinking shears. Pinking shears are used to finish the edge of a seam. It reduces the raveling when you're constructing the garment. I am using these I have an older pair at home, but I am using these to finish off the edges of my pieces of my book pages. I'm also going to need a pencil. I'm also going to need something to make my star. I happen to have a wooden star that I'm going to use as a template, or I have these foam stars. They're a little bit smaller that I could use as a template as well. I need burlap. I'll explain why I need just a piece of burlap or cloth or cotton balls. You just need something, and we'll explain in a moment. We also need something called Oasis. This one's down in there pretty good, but Oasis is a foam that is used for floral arranging to hold flowers in place. But by putting this in here, that gives me a chance to put my skewer. You can tell this has a skewer on it. That skewer is something that you'll also need, but that's going to go down right through the center of this. And then the only other things that I can imagine that you will need is you will need something to provide some space between your pages. They recommend little 1-inch squares of cardboard. I did not have cardboard readily available, so instead of doing that, I found these beads that would fit perfectly down between each of my layers, and I use them as a spacer. So you can use anything. And the last and probably the most important thing that you're going to need is you're going to need your template to cut out your squares. And the template, we are going to provide kits for that. Again, we are at curbside right now, so you may request one at curbside. They are first come, first serve, but I have pre-cut your first template for you. Your first template starts with a 4-inch square, as you can see here. And I go all the way down by 1/2 inches. So my next one is 3.5. And my next one is 3. And 2.5, 2, and so forth until I get to 1-inch square, the 1-inch squares at the very top. I did 10 pages. I will need 10 of my 4-inch, 10 of my 3.5, of my 3, etc. And those, once you start putting those all together, that makes a very full tree. And that's what we're trying to do, is to replicate a Christmas tree. So these are already pre-cut. I actually did the pre-cutting. I'm going to need in a few moments to finish off my 1-inch, my 1.5 inch, and my 2. I don't think that's a 2 on there, but you can see I actually cut out extra ones in case I wanted to increase the fullness. Okay, so let's get started on the process. Let me move this over to the side for just a few moments. Again, I painted mine. I put a decorative red ribbon around it. This is meant to be very neutral. You could tea stain your pages if you'd like. That's going to give it more of an antique look, and they do look really good tea stained. I just did not have time to do that. Now, this is not very presentable, and you will be able to see just a little bit of this, even though it will be underneath of this bottom 4-inch square that we have here. So what I'm going to do is, this is actually burlap ribbon. It comes in a very wide width, but I'm going to go ahead and just cut just a little bit of this off, and I'm going to tuck it down in there to cover up my oasis. It is such a wide weave, a loose weave, that I'm easily going to be able to put my skewer right down the center here. And I'm not going to do anything fancy. I'm actually just going to shove it down in there. I might use the end of my, actually I have a Sharpie laying here. Now if I need to trim more off of this, I can. I don't think I'm going to need any hot glue. That corner right there, I may need a little spot of hot glue, but as you can see, all I simply did was just covered up my oasis with something that was a little bit more presentable. The next thing I'm going to do is put my skewer through the center. And I'm going to let it fall all the way to the bottom of my tree. And then what I simply did is I started with a bead. You can probably see right here, there is a bead. I started with a bead. And that kept it up off of the burlap directly. And then all I simply did is I took it just to the center and just pushed down. And these will stay in place for the most part. Now, in traveling here to the library for the demonstration, I noticed that some of my pages are out of line, but look, all I have to do is just simply just readjust those so that they're in different directions, which adds to the dimension or the depth of this, I should say. I started with the 4-inch at the bottom, and then I'm going to separate these at the top a little bit. I think they've gotten squished while I was traveling. All I simply did is start with the 4-inch at the bottom, and I put my 10 pages on, or my 9, whatever you think is appropriate. And then I went to my 3.5, my 3, and so forth. 2 half-inch increments, as you'll recall. Let me space this one a little bit more. Let's finish off the top. I'm going to put a couple more of these 2-inch because I don't want my tree to get too skinny at the top too quickly. And again, imagine how cute this would be if I had it tea stained. Okay, I'm going to put another bead. Now you can, once you get this all placed together, you can glue this down into your oasis with just a little bit of hot glue on the edge of it before you stick it down in the oasis. But I don't think you really need it. I don't think this is going anywhere. So I'm going to go to the 1.5 inch. I really don't think I'm going to need all 10 of my 1.5 inch. If you do not have pinking shears, there are children's scalloped scissors. Crayola makes them. They would also be a great little edge, although I do like the zigzagged edge. Okay, I'm going to start with the 1 inch. These are the tiniest ones of all. I do want you to know that when I cut mine out, I used a rotary cutter, and the process went really quickly because I was able to cut through multiple pages. I am definitely not using all 10 of these at the top. Now, the one that I saw online, all they simply did was fold, for the top part, all they simply did was fold one of their 1 inch squares so that it would fan downwards. Now I'm just pinching this one to kind of get it to fan downwards. So if you do not want to put a star at the top, you can easily finish off with this. I would put another couple of the 1 inch ones, but we're going to put a star on this one. So I'm going to set this to the side. I'm going to open up and get a book page. Actually, I don't need to do that. I can use this. I'm going to use my pencil and one of the small stars. I want to try to get one that has all the writing on it. There we go. I am tracing it, and I'm going to cut one out. You can make your own star. You could buy a star for the top of it. I am not very good at making a hand-drawn star, so we're going to trace. Now, I can hot glue, or if this is going to be seen on both sides, as it's likely to be, I'm going to trace another one. Cut it out. And we will use 2 of them back to back. Therefore, the front, there is no front to it. I hope you're decorating for the holidays. I like decorating early, although I have not permitted myself to put up my tree yet. I'm going to wait until after Thanksgiving. But I enjoy the holidays so much. So I tell you what we're going to do. We're going to pull this over here. I'm going to put a little bit of hot glue on the back of one of our stars. And I'm going to place it at my top. And on the back side, I will put my other star. Pull my extra hot glue off there. And there we have it. We have our stacked paper Christmas tree. How easy and simple was this? The hardest part about this is probably the time it takes to cut out all of your little template papers that you need for this, but super, super easy. A couple of these on a mantle or any decor that you have would be adorable for the holidays. I hope you've enjoyed this craft. There'll be more to come. If you make one of these, please share it to our Facebook page. We'd love to see it. Remember, we do have kits available upon request. We do have a limited number of kits available. But if you're interested in this craft, please stop by curbside to pick one up. But I think you'll enjoy making this, and keep crafting.